Hello, and welcome to another Silver Screen Filmmakers Club workshop. We are glad you are joining us today. The information provided to you today is brought to you by the Stage Incubator, along with our sponsor, the Indiana Arts Commission. This is also brought to you in partnership with the Center for Urban and Regional Excellence at Indiana University Northwest and Folk Art, the Volunteers Office for Community Accessibility Resources and Training. All right, well, welcome back, Silver Screen Filmmakers. We're going to go on and get started into our next lesson. So, this again is part of our Module 4 lessons, and today we are going to explore a very essential part of filmmaking. And it's a part that people overlook all of the time. They don't consider it when they think of filmmaking, but essentially it is one of the most important parts, and that's the use of color to convey different moods. So, moods in film is a significant aspect that influences how the audience perceives and even feels about a story. Different moods can be evoked using specific colors, and they each, carry a unique psychological impact. Like I said, we, are covering some things, but I will have a handout or a little, sort of cheat sheet that you can use that deal a little bit more with the psychology of colors. I don't want to overwhelm you with tons of information, but the importance of color in affecting a mood and how um, the emotions are being perceived through the silver screen. Utilizing color is really important, and we'll go through a couple of these colors so that you can understand just a little bit more of how colors affect mood. So, again, formalities. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Gretchen Sip, and I'm your facilitator for this lesson. I hope that you will learn a lot as we go through the material for this lesson. So, again, as part of this agenda, we are covering the moods in film. So, let's go on and get started. Our lesson outline is that we will talk very briefly about the sort of introduction to mood and color, and we covered that a little bit. And then we'll actually just dive right into moods in film. Lastly, we'll talk just a little bit about associated colors, but this is going to be sort of a easier and hopefully a shorter lesson as we're going to dive right into our information here. So, again, like I mentioned before, one of the most overlooked, aspects of film and evoking emotion and really conveying messages or and really supplementing a storyline for a film is the effect of of color. It's the psychological effect of color. So let's jump right in. Let's start with romantic films. Now, romantic films often use colors like red, pink, and purple. Now, it's not necessarily that, every, scene, or even sometimes not even on the, sort of film poster do you see necessarily these particular colors. But overall, romantic and passionate moods are often depicted using warm, rich colors. So it's warm colors. Think of the warm spectrum, right? So these colors, they symbolize love, they symbolize desire and even intimacy. So I have, just a few of the colors here, but again, it's not limited to this. Really think warm colors. So red, evokes passion and desire. and excitement. Pink brings a tenderness, and romance is associated with softer, nurturing emotions. Now, purple adds a touch of mystery and luxury, and it can create sort of a dreamy and enchanting atmosphere. When I think of purple, of course, we all think immediately of royalty, but I just want you to, throw in your mind's eye what Disney movies use purple. I can think of one right off the top of my head. Aladdin. Aladdin uses purple. Now, some may remember a blue, but there's also purple tied in there. And essentially, even though Aladdin was was a thief or was accused of being a thief, he was dealing with royalty, right? And so you had this, sort of infusion of this purple color into that art, into the artwork for Aladdin. All right, so let's look at, just a few examples. Again, I want to remind you, even though I have red, pink, and purple on this here, what you want to think of is warm. What is warm? Warm colors. So, two popular romantic movies: one, Pride and Prejudice, and two, Notebook. Now, I know you're looking at these and you're like, now that doesn't have purple in it, doesn't even have pink in it. But what it has is warm colors. It has warm colors. So, Pride and Prejudice, this is, I want to say the 2005 version, this is the 2005 version, not the one from way back from, that went with the books that we used to read. Um, but this poster has, if you look at it, especially at the top, it's softer colors that are romantic. When you look at it, it evokes that emotion of romance. So the romantic colors, those soft colors, they highlight the film's theme of love and longing. Now, we also have The Notebook, very popular movie. A lot of people remember The Notebook. Now, The Notebook also has those warm tones. And even though you're looking at like, well, it looks blue, but the tones and the effects, and then as you watch the movie, you'll notice certain lighting in the movie. The warm, passionate tones in The Notebook evoke the intense emotions and romantic storyline of the film. So you want to think not only just, of course, your cover art and how you have your movie poster art, but also when you're filming. Even though you're going to be using your phone, you can do a lot of things with basic lighting. From if you do stuff outdoors when it's high sun, or if it's the hitting the dusk part of the day right before the sun sets, or early morning shots, or you're shooting inside of a building where you can control the levels of light. So think of those, because even with those different levels of light, they can emit certain other colors, or you can pick up other colors. One of the things, when myself and Jess are working, when she's working with me and I have to be on camera, she knows I have certain undertones to my skin. And so we work to make sure that the lighting works with my undertones so that I don't get washed out. So, all right, let's keep it moving. Happy and optimistic moods. So, happy and optimistic moods, those are created usually, you think happy, optimistic, yellow, orange, but also light green. Now, these colors, they, evoke that happiness, that energy, and that freshness. And even as I'm saying these colors, I know you're probably thinking, number one, for instance, when you go into the grocery store, think about what products you see that are green or packaged in green, what companies use green in their branding. because they're trying to evoke a certain emotion. Um, a lot of, fresh companies, organic food companies, natural companies, a lot of them use green. So it's nature, but it's uplifting nature. So let's jump back into the colors. Yellow. Yellow is a happiness, energy, and warmth. It's uplifting and can create a sense of joy. Now, orange. Orange really is inviting. It has an enthusiasm to it, creativity and excitement. Now, it's an inviting and color, and it can stimulate both mental and physical activity. And then lastly, we have light green. Light green, like I said, it's that freshness, right? So, with that color being used, it evokes a mood of growth and harmony. And it's usually used like when it's something that's calm or refreshing, or something, like I said, dealing with nature and new beginnings. So happy, optimistic, we have yellow, orange, and light green. Now let's look at a few examples. Now you're like, where's the green? Where's the orange? This is the thing. It can be done in utilizing even the types of clothes. So to evoke a happy and uplifting mood, filmmakers, they often can use bright and warm colors like yellow, orange, green, sometimes even pink. Now, in the actual movie called La La Land, those colors, those vibrant colors were used. But even when you look at the movie poster, even though the movie poster itself is blue, the actual, and I know it's hard to see here, but the actual writing, the text, is a bright yellow. Not only that, in the film, she's wearing a yellow dress. Like, you can utilize the moods, the color. You can utilize color in various ways. It doesn't just have to be, the font on the movie poster. It doesn't have to even be limited to those things. It could be in wardrobe. It could be, what that person is wearing. And I mean, just to tell you, that's one of the things I know when I'm being filmed. All depending on what the focus of the film is, that tells me, even what I need to wear. Even as a trainer, that's one of the things I know. I know to utilize, colors in my wardrobe that help me to be inviting, or help me, especially if I'm being filmed, to show up good on film. And so, or in the movie if I'm being recorded, I know those things, and so I think about those things when I'm picking my outfits. So, for example, like I said, the vibrant colors in La La Land, they create an uplifting and joyous atmosphere, and that goes to the film's sort of playful, romantic, and hopeful tone. And then you have The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Now, they use a color palette that is bright and inspiring, and it sort of utilizes those colors to help highlight the adventurous journey of our protagonist here. So it doesn't just necessarily have to be in your movie poster artwork, but think about it also for the film itself. Those, so we want to give you something, think about as you're curating this concept for your short film. What is it that you're trying to evoke from your audience? All right, let's talk about sad and tragic. Of course, we have blue and we have gray. So, sad or tragic films, they often use blue and gray. Now, it does depend on the types of hues of blue. But when you're dealing with certain types of blue, blue brings a sense of calm and can bring a sense of sadness, while gray can evoke gloom and seriousness. You know, um, when you're thinking about a gray, sometimes it's like gloomy, de- depressed, or even formality, and it can be quite like it could create a somber and serious mood. Sometimes, when something has a gray sort of filter over it or tint over it, it can depict like a bleakness or even a hopelessness. So, think of that when you're trying to emit that feeling of sadness and tragedy. Let's look at, some examples here. All right, so to convey, sadness or melancholy, a cooler color, think of cooler colors, are used, such as blue and gray, and muted tones are used. Now, those colors can really evoke feelings of calmness and introspection and even sorrow. So here I have this poster, Blue Valentine. Now, this poster has blue and gray tones in it. You can look at that and see. The blue and gray in that palette enhances the film's themes of sadness and struggle within a relationship. You know, and we can see that through the cover, through the film poster art there. Now, let's look at Manchester by the Sea. Now, this film poster here utilizes muted cold colors. Manchester by the Sea, it reflects the film's somber mood and the emotional journey of the characters. Now, when you're looking at it, you're like, okay, they're outside by some water, so of course you're going to see sort of that blue, but think of the hue of it. And even maybe when they took the image, it wasn't that type of blue, and they added some sort of filters and adjusted the hues of it to fit in and to make it, adjusted to actually flow with that very somber and emotional mood. All right, so now let's talk about suspenseful and thrilling. So, suspenseful, thrilling films utilize black, dark red, and dark blue. And those colors can create a sense of tension and urgency and even a sense of mystery. So, you got black, that's, associated with power, mystery, and fear, and really that unknown, creating that tension and a sense of danger. And then you have dark red. Now, dark red is that intensity, danger, and urgency, and can evoke, a sense of alarm and even suspense. And then you have dark blue. So remember, I'm telling you, there are hues of the blue. Some blue is a calming color. Some blue is a calm, sad color. Some blue is now, as we see this dark blue, trust. Think about entities that utilize dark blue. Usually, um, government agencies, law enforcement sometimes utilizes blue. So, dark blue can, evoke trust, intelligence, and depth. But in the context of a movie, if we're looking at a thrilling or suspenseful movie, in that context, it can add a feeling of depth, seriousness, and sometimes even can create that atmosphere of cold and eerie. Now, let's look at two examples when it comes to that. So, I definitely was trying to go for certain films that we see the theme of color, being that blue. We have Inception and we have Gone Girl. So, like I said, mysterious and suspenseful moods are created a lot of times using dark and muted colors like black or gray and even dark blue. So in Inception, it uses that dark colors to contribute to its mysterious and complex narrative, right? And then we have Gone Girl. Now, Gone Girl employs the muted colors, as you see here, even in this poster. It's muted colors. It's like a dark but sort of blue gray that sort of blends together, and that emulates or works to enhance the theme of deception and intrigue. All right, let's talk about horror. So, horror films use intense colors like red and black, or even dark purple and dark green, that add to the eerie and supernatural atmosphere. Now, red, we know, red, blood, danger, you in danger, you in danger, and fear. And it heightens the sense of urgency and horror. Black, now that's darkness, death, and fear. I automatically think of, movies like any type of vampire movies. Any type of vampire movies, even if they're funny vampire movies, they still have those colors. um, but the black, it deals with darkness, death, and fear, and it can create an atmosphere of mystery and dread. Now, dark purple, we thought of purple before, so again, dealing with the hues of the color. So, dark purple is more like supernatural, eerie, and ominous, and it can give a sense of unease and otherworldliness versus the other types, or another type of purple that's more of a jewel tone that gives that sense of royalty. So dark is more supernatural. And then dark green, which can emulate toxicity, decay, and sickness. It can even evoke feelings of unease and disgust. So let's look at a few examples. All right, my favorites. Horror films, Friday the 13th. Definite utilization of red and black. And that goes to that intensity. It goes into the feelings of, suspense, but also, of course, blood, because it's Friday the 13th, of course, and darkness and fear. Same with Smile. That Smile. That both of those movies really mess with me. But with Smile, we even see this here in our film poster art. The utilization of black. There is some grays there in that undertone, and also, of course, red. So danger, because they were in danger, and fear. So those colors being utilized for that purpose. All right, let's talk about some calm colors. So calm and serene moods can be achieved utilizing light blue, lavender, and pale green. So think about it. In the last one, of course, we were talking about horror, and that was red and that was black, but it was also a deep purple and a deep green that emulated, ominous, eerie, toxicity, supernatural. Those evoked those, but that was purple and green, right? Now we have another shade of purple and green, a lavender and a pale green, and this evokes calm and serenity, all in the different hues, right? So these colors can bring a sense of peace and relaxation and freshness. Now, light blue is peace, tranquility, and reliability. It creates a soothing effect. Lavender, it can be used to evoke a sense of peace and restfulness. And pale green, a lot of times we see this again when it comes to certain natural products and or even practitioners that deal with natural health, because a lot of times pale green is used when it comes to healing, nature, and calm, and can be associated with well-being. So These are a few of the covers that I thought about. Peaceful Warrior. Now, Peaceful Warrior is sort of like I can't. It's like a biopic, sort of a little bit, almost like I was looking for something that's more documentary type. But again, we see a hue of the blue. Now there is some gray. In my opinion, when I'm looking at this film poster, I'm thinking of the gray as far as, when we talk about our concepts in film and we have to do our brainstorming. And we're thinking about, not only the settings and the character, but the conflict, what they have to go through, the obstacles that they have to fight. And so when I look at the clouds and the gray in the clouds, it's like the conflict that this individual had to go through in order to, become that warrior. Because you can't become a warrior unless you go through some obstacles or some conflict. You have to overcome something. So I thought that was fundamental in that film poster. Then I also have peace and love and misunderstanding. Now this is sort of a little bit of a quirky, some funny, but it's a peaceful movie for the most part. And it utilizes that main color palette of the light blue and the pale green and even some of the lavender. And that really, so when you're watching that, even though it may be some parts that are funny, a little bit of intrigue, it's going to be a calm and serene movie for the most part. Now let's talk about dramatic films. Now, dramatic films often use deep red, black, and gold to evoke intensity and sometimes even sophistication and luxury. Um, Deep red is dealing with that passion, black, sophistication, elegance, formality, and gold, of course, wealth and luxury. So now my choices for this is a little bit actually different. Per se, you wouldn't necessarily think of these, but for me, I definitely did because of the integration of the color red and even black. So, bright colors, and especially when I'm thinking about the dramatic, right? Bright, intense colors like the red um, and even black are commonly used to evoke excitement and action. So, these colors create that sort of sense of urgency, danger, and adrenaline when utilized in a certain manner. So we have one Mad Max. Now Mad Max has, it looks almost even red to a certain degree because it has that infusion of intense and fiery colors. And like that reflects that sort of high octane action, even chaos, So when you look at that film poster and you think about the influence of color in the film, throughout the film, it definitely goes to that dramatic appeal. Then we have The Dark Knight. And The Dark Knight utilizes dramatic hues as well. In The Dark Knight, utilization of that black and that red enhance the film's intense and suspenseful atmosphere. All right. So I know we covered a lot in that, but I just wanted to give you some examples. Number one, how to use color, whether it's in your artwork for your film poster, or whether it's through the colors that your subject will wear throughout the film, or whether it's the lighting. You can utilize color in various ways throughout your film, and color is one of the most powerful tools in filmmaking, just because it can help convey that emotional tone of the story. It helps to support it. And so when you understand the psychological impacts of different colors inside of your film, it can help to create, that it can immerse your audience into this impactful storytelling that you have. So whether you're, aiming for happiness or sadness, excitement or romance, or even mystery, choosing the right color, choosing the right colors can make all of the difference. Well, I want to thank you for joining me. Again, if you have any questions, feel free at any point to email us Or you can even send us a message inside of our classroom in Moodle using the chat feature. But contact us if you have any questions. We want to thank you again for taking some time out to really invest in yourself and learn something new. We are encouraged by all of you who have joined in our class, and we hope that you remember that colors and shapes and those can really impact the mood of your film and can shape the audience's experience and leave them with a lasting impression. Happy filmmaking. Well, I hope you learned a lot. Thank you for joining the Stage Incubator and viewing a part of our digital literacy series. We really appreciate you being here and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at thestageincubator@gmail.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Again, we want to thank our sponsors and our partners, the Indiana Arts Commission, the Center for Urban and Regional Excellence, and VOCART, the Volunteers Office for Community Accessibility, Resource, and Training. We hope to see you at our next session, and stay tuned for more things to come.